Carter, if y'all don't know Carter Matthews, he is, yes, he's my husband, so we'll just get that out of the way, but he's also our partner with Empowering Brands, and he works with Grow Marketing as well. He has a lot of expertise in this digital marketing media space. And he also worked for Randall Riley Publishing for years. So he's actually the reason why I got into the publishing business. He actually got me a job with one of his friends as an admin as we were dating. So we go way back in this, and he's probably super uncomfortable right now with me sharing all of the personal stories here. But anyway, when we get into the details here at Empowering Pumps or Empowering Brands, we go to Carter for that technical expertise. He builds our digital ad campaigns, and I really am excited to have him join us today because he's the technical knowledge on some of these advertising things we've touched on. Everything from building out something on our website to developing a great ad campaign that's going to have results. So I lean on him. So I definitely want y'all to do that as well. If you have any questions as he goes through his presentation, you can put them into the chat or the Q&A section, and I'll just pull them in at the end. Carter, if you want to go ahead and try to share your screen, you can do that.
Here we go. Is that coming through?
Yes, I can see your presentation.
Excellent. All right. Hey, Charlie, seriously, thank you for inviting me to participate in your Sales and Marketing Summit. Thanks to everybody who's in attendance. And hopefully we'll get some value out of this. I'm going to cover really just some high-level things, which you can always reach back out to Charlie or anyone if there's obviously questions at the end. But even if you have more detailed questions or want to get more in depth with some of the things that we're going to cover, kind of my purpose today is just to share some things that you should potentially take into consideration for your advertising as you kind of move into planning for 2021 and where to apply your resources and how to get the most out of your resources. I know there's been a lot of great speakers today talking about content and websites, so there may be some overlap, hopefully not too much. As Charlie mentioned, so I've been in marketing and media for my entire career. I started out with a media publishing, initially a publishing company called Randall Riley. And what was unique about the experience at Randall Riley is, like a lot of companies, we had to evolve from a traditional print-oriented business and overhaul our business into a digital-first, data-driven company. And that company was kind of focused in the construction and industrial agricultural spaces, but a lot of kind of similar things that I learned there apply in the industrial space. And as Charlie mentioned, I'm a partner with Empowering Brands, in full disclosure. So I do keep some level of involvement with that organization, but I also work with a company called Grow Marketing in business development and digital marketing strategy there. So with that being said, again, I'll just kind of kick this off. Again, high level things just for us to think about that you could consider in your advertising in marketing. And the first thing that I will kind of touch on is that I think is an overall theme that'll apply to almost everything you do is, how well do you know your audience? I love this quote that really there should be an intense focus on the natural intersection between who you are as a company, how you're able to deliver value to your customer, and make that the center of an effective marketing effort. The more that your organization understands the intricacies of your audiences, their pain points, their challenges, who they are, how they research products, the better that you can understand that information, and the better that you can communicate to that in a clear and concise manner is really what sets good marketers up from bad marketers, essentially. So that theme might carry over a lot, which is, using data and understanding your audience. I'm going to, again, kind of have a few slides that are just big questions, and then we'll kind of dive in. One of the things that you could, ask yourself, challenge yourself in your marketing planning is, How well are your marketing tactics truly coordinated, and how well do they work together? And so, for example, I've got a slide here talking about inbound and outbound. And the purpose of this is not to get into what is inbound and what is outbound and benefits of each or which you should use. The reality is that you need both. And this talking point here is really hopefully to kind of drive some kind of questions that you can think about, which is really the things that you are doing in your inbound strategy, which I think we've had some presentations on website, search engine optimization, how to think about your customer experience when you're on your website. So the things that you're doing inbound wise, how are you applying that to what you're doing outbound wise? So outbound, again, being your traditional advertising, you're putting a message out in front of an audience. Certainly a lot of new buzzwords, marketers love to make up buzzwords, but a lot of new buzzwords on outbound, like discovery marketing, but really it's just essentially putting a message out in front of a target audience and hoping to get their attention. But on the inbound side, some of the things that you can ask yourself and then use these answers to dictate what you may or may not need to do, and also how that'll apply to your outbound and advertising tactics. Are you investing in search engine optimization? If so, what does that look like? Is that something you're doing internally? Is it something you're doing outside of your organization, somebody working on that with you? How well do you understand how your customers find you? Do you have really good keyword data, keyword research to understand, how it is people are coming into contact with you? Goals for SEO, like what do you want to rank for? Those types of things to be thinking about when people are searching, researching, and doing the due diligence that they do online every day. What is it that you want to kind of be a thought leader around? That's some good questions that you can ask yourself on the SEO side, and use the answers to those questions to totally drive your strategy. Content, a lot of conversation about content. Just a few things that I would kind of point is, content marketing was one of those hot buzzwords, and it's certainly not dying. It's still very effective, but I would challenge, everyone to not get in the habit of what I call creating content just to create content, and ask yourself, are you creating content with purpose and substance? Are you writing on things that have been written about a million times over and over, or are you writing about something where you're going to bring some truly unique value to a challenge? And how does that play into the first goal that we talked about on the SEO? What are you trying to rank for? What are you wanting to be perceived as a thought leader in? And is that kind of permeating in your content strategy? Some other things just to kind of think through in your content. Are you using your keyword data? Are you using your industry knowledge? Are you using the resources that you have with your salespeople in the field and their knowledge and relationships with their customers in your content development? Critical things that you can do there. And then another thing, a couple things left on the content side. Are you creating content for multi-purpose? In other words, again, are we creating lots of content in one area, maybe for thought leadership? Or are we thinking about what all types of forms of content are we creating? And what are we doing for thought leadership? What are we doing for SEO? What are we doing for lead generation? What are we doing for awareness? And what are we doing on the advertising side? And then another question is, do you have a paid content distribution strategy? It's great to create content. It is going to provide a lot of value in your inbound, your search engine optimization, but how are you going to push that out in the market? Are you working with partners to do so? Are you using that in your advertising? How are you distributing your content? What does that look like for your organization? Search engine ads. Are you using search ads? They're critical in your inbound. That's obviously, when people are doing their research. And then I've got some kind of things that I would challenge you, if you are using search, things to maybe consider or reconsider what you're doing there. And then on the outbound side, again, how you're going to use that information on your inbound to what you're doing on the outbound side. Traditional advertising still plays a part, or do you still have a traditional budget for print? How does that look in your organization? Is that increasing? Is it decreasing? Is it flat? There does, continue to be a downward trend in the percentage of budgets for that, but it doesn't mean that it can't be a part of your plan. but is it working in conjunction with your other marketing efforts? You know, I know this is going sort of way, way back, but you know, a lot of times your print advertising kind of dictated your content strategy. You may be working with a vendor, like, do we run enough ads here that we get kind of coverage and these types of things? And that's all upside down now. You're creating content, and you have to be thinking about how you're going to, you know, push that out into the market and in what forms. On the social side, again, that's a buzzword for discovery marketing, but industrial audiences are absolutely on social media. I mean, we're all there. It's just a question of how do you identify and find them in the advertising side. Are you leveraging data in your social advertising? That's a question that you need to be asking yourself internally. And then are you using social advertising as part, again, of your content distribution plan, something that you should consider. And then on the digital side, it's just some questions to be thinking about internally is, do you know really what all is available to you? So a lot of digital advertising continues to evolve, both from a targeting, a placement, just kind of different opportunities are continuing to evolve. And how do you use your digital advertising even to support your content distribution? Are you thinking about using digital advertising to help find customers or have a one-to-one conversation with some of your strategic customers? We'll dive into that a little later.
Carter, I have a question that came up that I think is a good time for you to answer.
Okay.
What's the definition of search engine ads, and what do you mean by Google Ads? Can you go into that for us?
Sure, and we will touch on that a little bit. So, you know, there is still, believe it or not, a lot of confusion and a lot of misuse of the term SEO versus SEM or search engine ads. SEO is simply the process of making sure that your web presence is as healthy as it can be. How your website is built, you know, things like technical on-site SEO for title tags and image tags and content on the site, content depth, outbound and inbound links within your website. All those types of things play a critical role to your search engine optimization. Your search engine advertising is literally just placing an ad in Google that is related to a search. An analogy that I like to think about when weighing your SEO versus your search engine advertising is like going to the doctor. If you are having symptoms, an illness, and let's say we're going to define that symptom of we're not getting the quality site traffic we want. We're not getting traffic around related keywords that we want. If you have symptoms and you go to the doctor, the quickest thing the doctor is going to apply to fix your symptoms is medication. So think of your search engine ads essentially a little bit like it's your medication. It is I won't necessarily call it a quick fix, but it is an immediate and instant way to drive traffic into your website based on relevant keyword searches. Search engine optimization is what the doctor may say as you're getting ready to leave, which is, hey, you know, what's really going to help you is if you would start exercising, eat a little better, and yada, yada, yada. So you've got to really, you know, kind of accomplish both. You've got to get healthy from a website perspective to rank for these, you know, keywords, challenges, and things that your customers are out searching about. And at the same time, your search engine ads is just a way to sort of immediately boost that. And again, I'm going to sort of challenge some of the conventional ways of thinking on search engine ads here in a little bit in a later slide. Another question that I've kind of posed for you all to think about, which is a pain point that I know exists in a lot of marketing departments, particularly in more industrial marketing departments. That is, how aligned, how close is your sales and your marketing department working together? Is it very siloed still, or do you have some real integration where sales and marketing are working together? It is extremely important for that to start happening, and we can really go into some details. But if nothing else for today, I'm maybe going to present an idea that might be a way to spur that on in your organization if it's not already happening. And that is to think about having some ad strategy that we would call account-based. So inbound and outbound, we've kind of hit on, but account-based marketing is just a strategy that essentially concentrates resources on either an individual client or a set of target accounts that you're hoping to capture. So your salespeople in the field, every salesperson that I know has got like the whale out there, the big client that they're hoping to get the bid for, they're hoping to get an opportunity. It may be the type of client that moves the needle in your organization from, you know, meeting goals to blowing away goals or meeting a goal or whatever it is. Every salesperson out there knows that there are strategic accounts that are critical to their territory. And so one of the ways that you might be able to, as a marketer, or even if you're in sales in this meeting, of how you can kind of start the symbionts of getting sales and marketing to work together, is to test out a little bit of what we would call account-based marketing. So just a few things that we could do to kind of start with that. And then we'll go into some details, again, of what kind of advertising tactics you can use on account-based strategies. But first and foremost, defining your strategic accounts. So again, if that's one sort of enterprise level account with over 1,000 employees that you want to penetrate, or maybe it's a, you know, small list, but still high value targets that you want to make sales penetration in, again, think about creating an account-based strategy for that. So identifying your strategic accounts, that is, you know, going to take some communication with sales. If you have a CRM system, that can be incredibly useful. Thinking about starting a dialogue with sales, do you as marketers have access into your CRMs? Are you able to see what kind of customer touch points you're having at the sales side? That can be really good, valuable data to think about in setting up account-based marketing. But defining your strategic accounts and then investigating. What are the needs of those specific organizations? How well do you know them? How uniquely positioned are you to solve their problems? How well can you find commonality? If there's multiple types of these accounts, what kind of commonalities might they have? And then again, do you have any CRM data or any other sort of internal information that maybe is kept over in a sales silo that you can use to look at how you're able to kind of, you know, touch those customers? Third point would be creating your messaging. So again, in your content strategy, lots of forms of content to create. But content marketing is one trend that is growing. There is more personalization. A lot of that has to do with account-based marketing. How unique and individual can you make some of this messaging in an account-based strategy? Maybe it's a unique experience for the account that you're targeting. Specific landing pages you may want to build for that particular customer's experience. Email communications, if you're using a marketing automation platform, are you segmenting that, and can you create sort of marketing automation or email campaigns that are designed to talk to a specific customer? And then obviously creating case studies that would speak really relevant to an individual customers are all things that you can think about in your messaging strategy. And then identifying the advertising opportunities for that. So again, I mentioned in the digital side, advertising opportunities continue to evolve. And so some of the opportunities that we can dive into this a little bit later, but it may be targeting employees of an individual company in, say, a LinkedIn advertising campaign. It may be, again, highly personalized email campaigns in your marketing automation. It may be literally building a list of target companies through an association or a strategic partnership that you have or something like that, where you want to identify, again, those target accounts and use some of the ad tech data that is available to you to advertise directly to individuals in those organizations. Again, LinkedIn allows you in their ad platform to target employees of a specific company. They also allow you to upload data of companies. So if you have target account lists, you can upload that, try to create a customer match that way. And then one thing that we'll talk about a little later too is geofencing. So that is a sort of a programmatic functionality of display advertising, where a little different than geo-targeting. So don't want to create confusion there, but we'll talk specifically about geofencing. But that is a way to advertise based on location data to individuals in a certain location. So again, I may think about creating an advertising campaign for, if I'm in the oil and gas market and I want to advertise to Shell Oil Company, I want to identify a lot of their locations and I want to advertise to people going in and out of those locations. That's something that you could do in a geofence campaign. And then obviously, as key with any form of advertising, tracking the performance, understanding what your key performance indicators are going to look like in this particular campaign. Did we gain any new contacts in these organizations? Did we get people to sign up for an activity? Did we create any business opportunities? Those types of things you can be looking at in an account-based marketing strategy. So again, if nothing else, maybe this helps you in your organization build a bridge to sales so that you can start sharing some information internally that can be extremely helpful for understanding, again, the types of content you're trying to create. And then at the same time, sales feeling like you are helping them gain penetration into the accounts that are high priorities for them. So Charlie, you mentioned a question about search. We'll talk about the search ads, and I might kind of challenge any of you that maybe are using search engine advertising, some things to maybe rethink some of your strategy there, or if you're not, maybe this is an opportunity to kind of get in the game on the search ad strategy. But again, I kind of assume everyone knows what a search engine advertisement is, but if it's, you perform a search query on your computer or phone, usually the top 3 or 4 results that you're going to get is a paid search advertisement through Google or Bing. And that is literally just an auction-based system. I could really go into Nerdville here on what kind of populates those ads based on the relevancy of the website, relevancy of your ad messaging, those types of things. But essentially, it's just bidding on a keyword and putting an ad there. A lot of you in this room, I know in this virtual room, have very complex sales cycles. You're not selling direct, potentially you're selling through distribution. So a lot of times you're not maybe even collecting a customer visit like an e-commerce search ad where you're trying to get somebody into the website and complete a transaction. So you are doing things like with your other forms of content marketing where you're wanting to create thought leadership. You're wanting to create engagement. You're wanting people to just kind of engage with who you are as a company. So I want to challenge you to think about how you can do that with search engine ads. So a few bullets here. Emphasizing your product benefits, how you help a customer, not the features of your product. Think of your customers' common challenges and pain points. So some of the ways you can do that: personalize your ad copy around specific needs and challenges. Target very relevant searches to common challenges, and then create multiple ad groups around those challenges. So to give you an idea, some keywords in search campaigns, if you are, for example, like a software development company, as an example, some keywords for maybe marketing automation software or CRM software, those keywords may be extremely expensive to bid on. So think about how you then could tweak that and say, I want to bid on challenges that people are looking for with those searches. So maybe I'm not bidding on the word centrifugal pump, but I'm bidding on terms with the way I kind of match the search queries. I'm bidding on centrifugal pump troubleshooting, or I'm bidding on how to make my pumping system more efficient, things of that nature. Those are probably really bad examples, but things to think about where you can integrate what your customers are out researching potentially, and then putting search engine ads relevant to that. In addition to the copy and the searches, almost with any form of advertising, I would challenge you to build specific landing pages or have website pages that are very specific to that campaign. You want, in a search engine ad campaign, as a best practice, you want as much cohesiveness as you can between the search term you're bidding on, the ad copy that's in your search ad, and the website or the landing page where you're driving the customer. Have definitive call to actions. And then think about using ad extensions in new ways. So again, if you think about content that you're creating, rather than having your search ads more product oriented, maybe think, again, going back to that customer challenge point, maybe an ad extension is a a case study or a white paper or an ebook or an infographic that you may have that uniquely addresses a common challenge or a common pain point in your amongst your audience. And then again, driving traffic right into those pages where you can get conversions, which may look like downloads or something like that. And then the last thing I would stress is to focus on good data in your search engine advertising. So as an example, it's maybe way more important to know what keywords in your search campaigns drove conversions on the website than how many people saw the ad or how many people clicked on the ad. So challenge yourself to think about how what's the really important data and how can I use that to build effective search campaigns. Just kind of a quick stat from eMarketer, more than 70% of buyers in B2B industries use search engines when researching their next purchase. I mean, that makes sense. We all do it. We search for things the way Google has literally changed their menu bar. I mean, it's just the whole Google experience essentially functions as a search engine. Another question to consider. Consider using social advertising in your content distribution and your ABM or your account-based marketing strategy. So with social ads, there's just a few kind of highlights again that I would probably talk through here. But certainly you want to think about your social advertising as an ongoing continuum of engagement. It's not a one and done approach. B2B sales cycle, again, it's very long, it's complex. So think about ongoing engagements that you can create, advertising messages on social that tackle those sort of ongoing, touch points and sales cycles. Number two, use good data. Again, data is critical to any form of digital advertising. So use data to help pinpoint your audience first and foremost on social platforms that aren't business oriented. So for example, LinkedIn is really a business oriented social media platform. So they have pretty good advertising targeting capabilities, but the other social platforms don't. And so how you still want to use them. I think I get this question a lot, which is, why would I ever advertise on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter as compared to LinkedIn, which is used for business? Well, the value of LinkedIn is that it is a business oriented social media platform. No doubt. It's got great targeting. It can be used to generate leads. The challenge with LinkedIn is there's just not as much time spent on LinkedIn on average by the individual user as there is to their more social media platforms. So if you can get good data, you can absolutely use that to advertise on the other social platforms. So what do I mean by that? Maybe it's email lists, customer data, trade show lists that you may have, CRM data, anything like that you can use to create an audience on a social ad platform. Your site traffic. Your site traffic is a valuable audience. So creating audiences within your site traffic and even potentially segmenting that based on what they're looking at on your website is extremely valuable. You can do that with, obviously your Google Tag Manager and your, Facebook Pixel, Twitter. They all have the same kind of thing where you can build an audience based on people that are hitting your website. And then influencers and third parties. So influencer marketing is a big trend. It's not going to go away. A lot of users and researchers tend to trust information that's coming from what they consider a third party or an industry influencer, maybe more so than they do the company themselves. So consider working with influencers or third parties, particularly ones that may also have audience data or information that you can leverage or partner with. And then on the account-based campaign side, again, use social ads with first-party data to have those campaigns talking to individual companies. So for example, in LinkedIn, again, you may create a campaign that's targeted at employees of engineers and operations and purchasing managers within a very select group of companies where you have messaging that's highly targeted to those individual companies. But just kind of a few things to think about how you can use social advertising. And then another way last thing I would kind of touch on this point is, Facebook, Instagram particularly, it is a valuable retargeting tool. So even if you're driving traffic into your website from another source, display campaigns or other things that you may be doing, search engine campaigns, ways that you're driving traffic into your website, again, being able to use that website data to then retarget those users on social ad platforms can be very valuable.
Carter, shifting gears, I do have another question for you.
Okay.
If you want me to, you've got about 2 more minutes.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and ask you. Our Google consultant has been really aggressive about having us use the type of search ads, this type of search ads. Do you feel like DSAs are effective? In general, my leadership prefers a more manual approach that allows us to have more control over the Google ad side. I'm not 100% on the DSAs. Can you talk to that?
Yeah, so I'm not sure I understand that question completely. So can you hit the highlight again, the first part?
Right. It says that their Google consultant has been really aggressive about having us change the type of search ads that we're using. Do you feel like DSAs are effective? In general, my leadership prefers we have a more manual approach that allows us to have more control on the Google ad side.
Well, so I'm not sure the reference there to DSA. I probably should know that, but I'm not sure what specifically that's in reference to. I'd kind of answer that a couple of ways. You know, Google can be very aggressive in their outreach to their customers because essentially they're going to want you to spend more money with them. And so a lot of their insights may be very good. I would have to kind of know the individual situation, but a lot of their insights may be very good, but oftentimes, it's just kind of a way, like a lot of salespeople, just to get you a way to spend a little bit more money with them. I would say in general, if you working with Google Ads directly as yourself, it is becoming more and more user-friendly, but still there's a lot of technical expertise that can go into it to make sure that you're getting the most value out of that, particularly with how you're matching your keywords, whether you're doing broad or broad modifier or phrase match, how well you're doing at building out your negative keyword list. So you've got to kind of have an ongoing real deep dive into looking at what those keywords that are triggering your search ads and triggering your clicks, and being able to weed out the ones that aren't performing well. That's critical in your search engine advertising. I don't know if that answered the question, but
yeah, y'all can get offline too, and through the chat. I can connect you to talk through that. You can go ahead Rebecca's next on the list, so I'm just going to touch base with her as you finish up.
Okay, yeah, and I can kind of we're almost finished, so I can kind of hit the highlights on some of these things, but understanding what is available to you in digital advertising. So there's a lot of things maybe in addition to search and social, but what I call just your display or your programmatic. If anybody's not familiar with programmatic essentially is just a way of buying digital advertising. It just sort of coordinates ad exchanges, all the multiple ad exchanges there are, along with all the data that's collected on all of us, whether we like it or not, when we're online every day, the websites we're browsing, things that we do, actions we take online. So there's a variety of options that you can use in your online advertising. But if you're working with like a media vendor, which in this industry, I know you're probably working with a lot of sort of niche industry media companies. So think about what kind of inventory they may have, native content versus display inventory, and use the advertising placements that are best going to support your campaign. Optimizing for mobile devices, making sure your digital campaigns are designed to kind of work across desktop and mobile. Growth in a lot of formats, particularly video, audio. Don't know that how much audio would be used in this industry on things like streaming radio, because again, this is probably a lot of you have really niche audiences, but maybe podcasts or other things like that you could explore. And then going back to that geofencing again, different than geo-targeting. Geofencing is essentially technology that's using the location data that we have on our phones to target people in specific locations. The average US adult is spending almost 3 hours a day on a smartphone. So it's still, it's not a display ads and programmatic and these types of things are not anything that's declining. but just kind of, challenged to think about what all is available to me. And then I'll kind of skip ahead. This is my last one, Charlie. Creating forms of video that can be used in advertising. I think this is really important. So a lot of you are probably hearing video, create video, use video. Where I see personally a lot of breakdown in industrial marketing is they may have really good long form video and really bad short form video. So think as you're creating video, how many places you can use that. So case studies. A lot of you develop really good case studies with clients that are in text form. Think about how you could get maybe quick video snippet video interviews that you could turn into case study videos to companion along with your other case studies. Obviously your how-tos, your tutorials, your trainings, all of that is great content for people whom are already engaged. But if you're thinking about video for advertising, you've got to think about what's going to grab somebody's attention. So create short, compelling video. So some ideas. Maybe edit some longer video that you have and just use either a video editor. There's probably some free tools online you can use to edit snippets of long video and create sort of a shorter 30, 15, 20-second form of that you can use in social ads or YouTube in-stream or other sort of ways that you can push video out to your target audience. Don't be afraid to just kind of create a video that's based on images. I've seen some really cool videos that are created just kind of putting some high quality images with a sort of a music or a voice overlay way to just kind of, again, using it in your ad strategy. I've seen a really cool video in a B2B marketer that created a time lapse video based on event that they were at. Again, you can get creative, but there's a lot of ways that you can create some short videos. So again, think about how you're going to grab someone's attention with your short video content, and then use your long form video content on the landing pages. That's where, when you've got someone engaged via search, via a click from an ad, via whatever, that's where you can kind of start to push the longer form video and those types of things.
Thank you, Carter. I know you could go on, and if anybody has a question for Carter, he'll be in the chat for a while to answer those questions. Carter, again, like, so much knowledge in this area. We can tell that you're passionate about it, and I like it that you joined us, because you're actually, done this work and really understand where the pain points are and the advantages. So I think pointing out there at the last, using those longer videos and then creating shorter videos from that is something we need to look at doing for sure in our industry. We've all seen that. So thank you for being here.
Thanks everybody for attending. And if you have any specific questions or want to get into that in more technical detail, feel free to shoot a message to Charlie. She'll get that to me, and we can get back to you.
Thanks.
Thanks.